Let's talk about 7 problems that the new Toyota Tacoma, the 2024 Toyota Tacoma, actually fixed. First off, while we're out here in this sweltering heat, is headroom. They gave us about another inch and a half of headroom inside the cab. Now, let me say, I got a comment the other day. Somebody told me that they read or heard somewhere that one of the problems with the new Toyota Tacoma was its reduction in headroom. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It just goes to show all of the crazy negative things out there that people say that aren't true. We definitely have more headroom in the new Toyota Tacoma. Next up, number 2, the transmission. We now have an 8-speed automatic transmission. Much better than what we had before in the 6-speed. Although, I will say, I never really experienced any of this crazy gear hunting that I heard a lot of people talk about. It has been reported all over the web as to how bad it was, and I think it primarily came into play when you were going up hills, right? I live in the valley, so I never really had any hills to go up in that 3rd gen, which is probably why I didn't experience major problems like a lot of other people say they experienced. Now, I did notice that at freeway speeds, it didn't seem to like to stay in 6th gear, right? The top gear. It was a 6-speed automatic. Don't notice any issues with this new transmission, and I've heard a lot of reports from other people who have the new truck stating that the transmission is awesome. They no longer have that gear hunting problem that they used to have in the 3rd gen. Number 3, and this is something that everybody, well, a lot of people, I really didn't care, but everybody said they wanted, and that was rear disc brakes. For years, people have been complaining about the Tacoma not having rear disc brakes. It had drum brakes. It wasn't really ever a big deal for me. I mean, every time I pushed on the brake pedal, I stopped. But nonetheless, it is something that Toyota fixed, I guess, per what everybody was saying out there. You know, a lot of people say Toyota doesn't listen to what they want, right? Well, here's an instance where they did. They really didn't have to do anything with the brakes, in my opinion, but they did. They fixed them because you wanted them. Number 4, rear coilover springs. This is one of the biggest improvements, in my opinion, to the new Toyota Tacoma. The ride quality change is amazing. It's one of the first things that I noticed when I drove the new truck, other than another item that we're going to get to here in just a minute. It is almost buttery smooth. And I know it is a truck, right? But why shouldn't you have the best suspension you can get, whether it's a truck or a car? It doesn't really matter, right? I love it. I think they did a great job. I think this new suspension in the rear end really helps out with ride comfort. As I mentioned, it's one of the more predominant things that Toyota did that you actually can experience in the truck. It fixed that rougher ride that we used to have, particularly going over railroad tracks. I always noticed if I was at high enough speed and the tracks were rough enough, the truck would almost kind of jump a little bit going over the tracks in the rear. In other words, from when the front hit to when the rear hit, you'd feel a little bit of a hiccup, right? I don't notice that anymore. Number 5, what I just alluded to, much better acceleration. It's probably the first most noticeable thing that you'll notice when you go drive the new Tacoma. And by the way, if you haven't, make sure you go do it. Even if you're not in the market and you're not looking to buy one, even if you're a new Tacoma hater, you got to go out there and experience, because it is a marked improvement over what we've had before. I think one of the biggest problems with the 3rd gen Tacoma was throttle lag. It had a heck of a lot of throttle lag. This new Tacoma virtually eliminates that. And it is awesome. When you hit the accelerator, it goes, it jumps. And not only off the line, but also when you're moving at higher speeds. Say on the freeway, you want to pass somebody, no longer do you hit the gas and you have that stock lag, right? It takes right off. And of course, that's due to the new 4-cylinder turbo. You get that instant power when you want it. a heck of an improvement and a great fix for the new Tacoma. Number 6, improved fuel economy. I have to mention it because it is a fact, but it's not a huge thing. It is slightly improved. You know, I had hoped to see, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 mile per gallon more, right? I mean, it's a redesigned truck, it's a 4-cylinder. You would think it would get a lot better, and hopefully Toyota's going to achieve that, at least 10 miles per gallon more, I don't know, in the hybrid that's going to be coming out. But they did not do it on the V4 Turbo. It gets, realistically, mine is probably getting about 3 to 4, if I'm lucky, miles per gallon more than my 3rd gen did in comparable driving situations. You know, most of my driving is city type driving, 55 mile an hour max and under, not a whole lot of freeway. I have no doubt that I would get better fuel economy if I spent more time on the freeways, traveling at, 65, maybe 70, something like that, but I don't. Nonetheless, it's a fair comparison because I'm driving this truck the same way that I drove the previous truck, the 3rd gen. It was the electric lime version that you probably have seen on the channel. In that truck, I was getting about 14.7 to maybe 15 or so if I was lucky. In the new truck, I'm getting 17.7 to a little over 18, depending on how aggressive I am, I guess, on the accelerator. Number 7, and this is another thing, probably the 3rd most predominant thing that you're going to notice after you're in the truck for a while, and that is an improved seat. Before, it had a very uncomfortable stock seat due to the position. I could never get enough support on the underside of my legs. My leg felt like it was just kind of hanging over. I never could get it to go right, even though I had the 10-way power adjustable seats, right? You would think that with that adjustment, you could move that front section up high enough so that you get enough contact on the bottom of your legs so it didn't feel bad. I never got that. And that's one of the reasons you see a market out there for seat changers, seat jackers, I guess, is because it is a predominant problem. There wouldn't be a whole product that was researched, developed, marketed, created if there wasn't an issue. So I know I'm not the only one that experienced that in the 3rd gen Tacoma. Anyway, I just wanted to run through. There's been so many negative comments out there about the 2024 Tacoma. I think people fail to look at the good things, the positive things. These are 7 fixes that Toyota did to the Tacoma, and there are more. These are just the ones that I've highlighted. Leave a comment. Let me know if any of these are important to you. I'd just be curious. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye. Stop.